All Donald Trump and J.D. Vance know about manufacturing is how to manufacture BS. That's an actual post right there from Tim Walz. I checked. I'm like, is this legit? Is this real? Am I living in the upside down? Is this a real thing? It's a real thing. It's his account. It has the blue check mark. It must be true. And of course it's true because I saw it on the internet. Tony Katz today. 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. That's the number. That's how you get to be a part of the show. It has already been a day, and it's going to be a weekend, and it's going to be a week because we're in the final, basically, 3.5 weeks of this campaign. Not basically, through the last 3.5 weeks of this campaign. This is going to be over, and then, of course, it's not going to be over because, as we are fully aware, these things are never, ever, ever over.
Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Once again, it is hard to argue with Senator Blutarski logic. I once had somebody email me and say, it wasn't the Germans who bombed Pearl Harbor. That person got it wrong. And if we don't know the movie classics, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what's the point of living? It's going to be a painful 3.5 weeks, and I have no way of making this better, except I do have some things that will at least make you go, well, ain't that something? Isn't it nice to know that we had it right from the very, very, very beginning? And we did. And we did. We had it right when we stated that this election was about men. We said it early. We said it right from the start. And of course, you had a whole host of people saying, oh, no, the women are going to come out. This election is going to be about abortion. This election is not going to be about abortion. There are plenty of people who vote solely on that subject. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who want to run just on that subject. Don't get me wrong. That isn't the thing that we're discussing. That isn't the sole subject. I do ask whether or not the economy is moving people as a subject the way it did maybe a month ago. And maybe that's because Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene are so on the front pages that it's moved the economy off the front pages. You're going to see that the stock market's up because the producer price index, well, that was flat. And it means everything's fine. It's not. It's the consumer price index of yesterday that stated that inflation is still here. And a producer price index that is flat doesn't say that inflation has gone away. You cut rates 0.5 point. You're now thinking that there will be no more rate cuts this year. You take a look at those futures people, this futures market, where they're at. They don't think another rate cut is going to come now because of the poor reports. We are not done with inflation by any stretch of the imagination. But this election is not about abortion. This election is about men. And the reason this election is about men is because they have told us that it is about men. They have stated it clearly that it's about men. And all we ever did was listen. All we did was listen to what it was they were saying, how it was they were campaigning. This election is about men. Now, some want to say that men are not voting for Kamala Harris because of sexism. There was this this tweet, guy by the name of Tim Wise. Tim Wise looks like he's trying to be a Bond villain. He's a cross between a Bond villain and the guy who does the voice for SpongeBob SquarePants. That's kind of what he looks like. I might be giving him too much credit there. He is a critical race theorist, and in his Twitter bio, it states, yes, that thing you don't understand. So he starts with a premise. And the premise is, I know things, you don't know things. Therefore, when I tell you things, they are important things because I know them and you don't. That thing you don't understand about critical race theory is whatever it is he decides it is at the moment. What a way to start a relationship on social media. But he put out a post, did Tim Jacob Wise. And if you guys want to reach out to him and say, hey, Tim, Tony Katz is talking about you right now, feel free. Feel free. I don't, doesn't bother me none. He writes, Kamala Harris could offer free gas and bacon for a year, and MAGA cultists would still vote for Trump because it was never about prices. It was always about the racism. Racism, sexism, they get it all confused. It's all the same. There's always a reason. The reason cannot possibly be that Kamala Harris is awful. The reason cannot be that Kamala Harris is terrible. The reason cannot be that she's got bad policies. The reason cannot be that she is not likable. The reason cannot be that she's totally inauthentic. The reason cannot be that she is a fraud and she has absolutely flip-flopped on maybe every possible policy position one could have. That can't be it. It's because of sexism and it's because of racism. Tim here talking about racism. I said sexism earlier, talking about racism. So let's take Tim at his word and let's walk through the theory. Let's say that Tim is right and people are not going to vote for Kamala Harris because of racism. Now the question is, what's your plan? What are you going to do about it? I ask this because you must somewhere have an answer. You must somewhere have a fix for this horrific problem of bigotry. If I humor you, Tim Wise, and we say it is racism, how does, first of all, putting that on social media fix it? How does it fix anything to say you could give these MAGA people free bacon and free gas, they still won't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman of color? Well, first of all, did you try? I mean, you bought some people's votes by paying off their student loans. Have you tried buying other people's votes by giving them bacon and gasoline? I mean, not together. Clearly. By the way, if you had to run cars on bacon, people would walk. I'm saying this as the Jewish guy. Bacon, only thing my people ever got wrong. That is it. There, just, I mean, the only thing. We got Barbra Streisand wrong too. All right, that's two. That's enough. A post fixes nothing, of course, as we know. What do you offer, Tim, as a way of fixing what you see as the problem? The problem is white people won't vote for Kamala Harris because they're racist. This is what you're saying. The MAGA folk, which you determine is all white, even though that's wrong, you say they won't vote for Kamala Harris because of the racism. So now the question is, what do you propose? And do you fix the problem without violence? Tim Wise, critical race theorist, I want to know how you fix the problem. You're telling me there's a problem. You know, I've been saying this now for a couple months. If you tell me that men won't vote for Kamala Harris because they're sexist, my response is, okay, now how are you going to fix that? What you did is called men sexist. And men are going to shrug their shoulders and be like, whatever. They're not going to change their vote. Do you think they're going to, after you call them sexist, do you think they're going to be henpecked into voting your way? Does that make any sense to anybody? You think you're going to shame them into a vote for Kamala Harris? You think you're going to shame black men into a vote for Kamala Harris? You're nuts. You're out of your mind. You would have to be Barack Obama level stupid to think that you could shame black men into voting for Kamala Harris.
Makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for it. The women in our lives have been in our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble, and the system's not working for us.
This is Barack Obama, who gave he's in Pittsburgh and he was campaigning for Kamala Harris. And he is speaking to, this is not a private setting. This wasn't a private room. He knows the camera's on him. He can see it. And it's a group of black men. And he is lecturing to a group of black men about the need to vote for Kamala Harris. Part of me makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that you aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives, other reasons for that. The women in our lives have had our back this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system is not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. So the white person isn't voting for Kamala Harris because they're racist, and they can't even be bribed with bacon and gasoline. Black men aren't voting for Kamala Harris because they're sexist, and they have to remember all the things that women have done for them. Well, maybe if their mom was running for president, they'd vote for their mom. But it's not their mom. It's Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris never did anything for them. And Kamala Harris is not likable. Kamala Harris is not trusted. Kamala Harris is not smart. Kamala Harris cannot speak. Kamala Harris has nothing to offer, and they had more money in their pocket when Trump was president. But go on, Barack Obama. Henpeck him. Go on, Barack Obama. Tell them that they aren't being good enough black men. Go on, Barack Obama. Tell them they're traitors to their race. Go on. Do it. Do it. Do it. I can't do the Stiller. Do it. I can go lower. I can do it. Do it. That's better. It's not perfect. Remind me not to do impressions when I'm smoking a cigar. Those two don't mix, except for George Burns, because it is smoking a cigar. Go tell black men that they are traitors to their race for not voting for Kamala Harris. Go on, Barack Obama. Keep that up for the next 3.5 weeks. Let me know how it goes. Ooh. This election is about men. And men are not interested in what Kamala Harris has to offer. And if you argue it's sexism or you argue it's racism, okay. Argue whatever you want. Feel free. How are you going to fix it? By nagging them into it? No. Nagging them never got them to clean the garage. Nagging them is not going to work in getting them to vote. So, your move. The Trump supporter is a racist, and black men are sexist. You figure it out, political left. You figure out how you're going to make that message work for you. I mean, it'll work on liberal white women because, well, they're liberal white women. But it isn't going to work on the voters you need. But you keep it up and let me know how it goes. I'm Tony Katz.